Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I've been getting a lot of questions from our viewers and subscribers asking, how is it possible that despite higher inflation, despite the fact that millions of our fellow Americans are struggling, the economy seems to be bouncing back? In fact, this was the subject of an article that you'll see on your screen right now from Bloomberg. Why is spending so strong if consumers are miserable? Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream, and I want to help you overcome the cycle of poverty that you see on your screen right now and help you live the American dream. So please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. So for now, it looks like the public is doing just fine according to Bloomberg. In fact, I'll quote directly from this article. One of the key questions of 2022 will be how companies and households manage to deal with all the inflation, and official data actually suggests that real wage growth is negative. In other words, even though people are potentially earning more money by way of higher wages, because they're spending more money and because they're consuming more, they actually have no money left over. Now, here's the interesting thing, folks. More and more companies are starting to hire, and more companies are paying more to their employees. Their product costs are rising, but the number of consumers is staying the same. So, what are these companies doing? They are raising prices. Yes, folks, prices are going up. You know it. I know it. And what is happening is that all the costs are being passed on to the customers, but customers continue to spend. Here's an image on your screen that demonstrates that there's no sign of the big squeeze. In fact, the elevated gross margins remain intact at large retailers. In other words, companies continue to make money. And why is that? I'll quote directly from Bloomberg. Simply put, people are spending more. Some of this may simply represent money illusion. You feel wealthier after a pay increase, even if it buys you less when you go to the shops. But with the end of the pandemic benefits a couple of months ago, this wouldn't seem to be an issue for many people. Many people have actually lost incoming money. So what is actually going on, folks? The savings rate has actually declined significantly in recent months. And now what this means is that people have less money left and people are now starting to get back to work. And when they make more, they think they have more, but in reality, the purchasing power goes down. The dollar simply doesn't go as far as it used to. In fact, people are running out of money. Here's another image on your screen. Running down the nest egg, the savings rate has actually reversed its pandemic bounce. During the pandemic, the savings rate had gone up, but now the savings rate is down substantially. There's another big change, folks. There is a willingness to use revolving credit again. In other words, households aggressively paid down credit card balances at the peak of the pandemic. So why did all these households pay down their credit card balances at the peak of the pandemic? Well, they wanted to avoid risk and they had cash from the government, which, by the way, is very ironic, because all this money that came in, instead of it resulting in higher savings rates, it actually helped people pay down their debt, which allowed the credit card companies and the banks to actually become richer. Simply unbelievable when you actually think about it. This shows you that a lot of us are living in a cycle of debt. A lot of us are simply trying to escape the cycle of poverty, which is pretty incredible, because in escaping the cycle of poverty, we actually make banks, we actually make our employers, and we make these large companies even richer. In fact, a lot of customers didn't want to pay, a lot of consumers did not want to pay 15%, 20% rates to their credit card companies. So they simply paid off their credit card bills. In fact, there was a significant decline in revolving credit at the end of the pandemic. And what basically happened was that people just paid off their credit cards. But now people are now starting to use their credit cards and firing up their credit cards to spend money. In fact, let's take a look at this image from Bloomberg. Fire up the credit cards. Unlike the post-GFC era, revolving credit has actually rebounded strongly. In other words, people are now back to spending money just like they did prior to the pandemic. However, revolving credit usage is still below its pre-pandemic levels, which means that consumption will actually continue to increase, folks. In fact, there's a positive correlation. There's actually a link between consumer confidence and the ability or the willingness of someone to use their credit card. In other words, as people use their credit card more, they are more confident about the economy. So the bottom line is the American consumer will now start spending more money. And something tells me that a lot of us are going to go back into debt again, which is exactly what is going to fuel another cycle of poverty unless you decide to take charge of your finances, which is what this channel is all about. But folks, the good news is for the time being, it seems that enough American households have enough of a cushion in income and savings and available credit. Why? Because people are back to work. People who got stimulus checks and unemployment benefits have some sort of a financial buffer. Okay. Also, what's interesting is that even if you're not back to work, hopefully, and this is quite likely, another member of your family is back to work. On top of that, you've paid off your credit card bills. You feel like you can max out your credit cards again. Money's coming in. Guess what? It looks like, at least as far as the American consumer is concerned, things are back to normal, or at least getting back to normal, which is why it seems like for the time being, things may potentially get back to normal because people are firing up their credit cards to spend money again. Now, there are many moving parts to this situation and things can change. But folks, at the end of the day, consumers are starting to feel rich again. Whether they are rich or not, I think is entirely dependent on your savings, how you use money, how you manage money. Because folks, the way I look at money is that every dollar should be a soldier. Every dollar should go out to work at night and come back in the morning with more soldiers. Your money should work for you and should bring you back more money. And that at the end of the day is the way to achieve real financial freedom. But folks, for the moment, it's very clear that despite a horrible pandemic and the fact that many consumers are actually miserable with inflation, spending continues to remain strong, which at the end of the day is what I think will help the American economy recover. And I think America will help the rest of the world recover because we, the American consumers, are ready to spend money, even if we have to go back into credit card to spend money, which, by the way, is already starting to happen. Consumer behavior is indicating that more and more people are now spending more and more money and are starting to get out of their homes and are starting to use their credit cards, which really is going to lead to the economic recovery. Strong spending despite miserable consumers. In fact, I would go so far as to say, because consumers are miserable, they're spending more money because at the end of the day, retail therapy is a form of therapy for most of us. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I want you to know I work hard on this channel, and one simple like from you is going to bring a smile to my face. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.